Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, a free site, bettingangle.us, a free site. Today is June the 20th, 2024. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Ryan Garcia is about to get pinched by the Boxing Commission in New York State. Let me point out that New York State has a very muscular boxing commission. Let me also make another point too. You can do a lot of things in boxing, right? You can be the rebel. You can show up late to events. You can even miss weight if you're prepared to give up your chance to fight for the title or to keep the title. But one thing you simply cannot do is use performance-enhancing drugs that are illegal. Right? Understand, we all see that a lot of guys are taking supplements to help themselves. If they're legal, great. Right? You'll notice some of them are actually advertising supplement makers on their robes and gear as they enter the ring. Right? If they're legal, great. If they're illegal, you're finished. Especially when you are participating in a big fight against an unbeaten fighter, an unbeaten champion, and reputations are on the line. Right now, Ryan Garcia can complain and can claim that his supplements were tainted. Right? The bottom line is, if it's in your system, you have a problem. If it's in your system, you are responsible. Right? In the law, this is known as a strict liability offense. Right? If it's in you and you test positive after a fight, you're going to deal with a harsh punishment. Now, let me just point out, I would not be surprised if the New York Boxing Commission suspends him for 2 years. Now, if they suspend Ryan Garcia, who's on top of the world right now, a lot of people following him on Instagram, for example, right? If they suspend him for 2 years, then he should announce his retirement. He has a lot going on. His mother has cancer. He himself feels that the scrutiny on his drug test is unwarranted. He feels like he's being singled out. Right? The bottom line is this. He's on top of the world right now. He has one loss, and that one loss is to a guy who's unbeaten, who's a future Hall of Famer, Gervonta Davis. Right? That's his only loss. People looking at the Ryan Garcia fight are overlooking the fact that Garcia embarrassed himself. That's what he did to boxing purists, by showing up more than 3 pounds overweight. Folks, that was ridiculous. We look the other way because he's a young guy, because he's a talented guy. So we gave him special treatment we wouldn't give a fighter we didn't think as highly of. Then, of course, he tops it off. Ostarine is found in his system, folks. You'd be hard-pressed to get Ostarine in your system. In other words, you have to go looking for it. This isn't like having too much caffeine in your system. This isn't like them telling you, hey man, your blood sugar is elevated. And you're like, blood sugar? You know, how would I control that? No. This is a designer drug. This is a new drug. This is a drug that got Lucien Boutte busted years ago. Now, we can talk about tainted supplements and all this other stuff. These millionaire fighters need to understand that you're responsible for every supplement that you take. Right? Don't blame me, the fan, because you believe a supplement you took that I had nothing to do with was tainted. Blame yourself for your supplement selection. Right? If you're uncertain about the supplements you're taking, then do what they used to do in the old days. Have the fight clean. Right? Do you think for a second that Joe Louis was, trying to look up ashwagandha and all this other stuff? No. Back in the day, they were eating meat and potatoes. Right? They were out chopping wood to develop their arm muscles and stuff like that. Right? Jack Johnson wasn't out there looking for designer supplements and then complaining about them being tainted. Ryan Garcia is. So my advice to Garcia is to realize you're in a special zone right now. The world is not that forgiving. Once they feel that you're older, that you've already delivered on your promise, that you've already gotten preferential treatment. Right now you have a better fighter than Ryan Garcia. Canelo, who's fought numerous Hall of Famers. Right? Miguel Cotto, Floyd Mayweather, just to name two of them. Right? We could go on and on in terms of other guys who have a shot at the Hall of Fame. Billy Joe Saunders, who to date only has one loss, and you know who it's to. Canelo, right? And yet, all we're hearing about Canelo, right, who even beat Jermell Charlo, we can say the fight was not competitive. That wasn't Canelo's fault. He went looking for a fight, right? Charlo, of course, was undisputed at the time of that match. And we look at Canelo right now, and what's everyone talking about? After, of course, he just gave Jaime Munguia his first loss. We're hearing about David Benavidez, a guy whose last fight wasn't even at 168. It was at 175. Right? People are roughing up Canelo. It's not like Canelo's in his mid-20s and is on top of the world like Ryan Garcia is. Right? When's the last Canelo fight where Canelo got the career boost that Ryan Garcia just got by beating Devin Haney? Right? So if I'm Ryan Garcia, I realize this is the privileged part of my life. For me to get back to this level of VIP treatment, I'm actually going to have to do things that Canelo did. I'm actually going to have to fight a bunch of real fighters. I'm going to actually have to make weight before the fights. Right? I'm going to have to be able to fight for titles, not blow weight, not fight for a title, even though I'm fighting an unbeaten champion. I'm going to have to win titles. I'm going to have to win titles in different weight classes to prove I'm a bad man. Right? Understand, the road is difficult for Ryan Garcia to get back to where he is right now. And all of that would have to happen after Ryan serves a suspension that could be a 2-year suspension. So Ryan, just being realistic here, is looking at least 3.5, 4 years if he continues on in the sport before he gets back to the exalted position he's in right now. And understand, every fight you have, you could win, you could lose, you could get knocked out. The sport's unforgiving when you get knocked out. Right? Deontay Wilder, 5-year heavyweight champion. All we're hearing about Wilder right now is that he lost to Joe Parker, then got stopped by Zhilei Zhang. Right? Any fight could end in a knockout. And the victim, the knockout victim, could be you. Right? So, if I'm Ryan Garcia, the world's a big place. There are a lot of opportunities, not only in boxing, but outside of boxing. I know Ryan has had his differences with Oscar De La Hoya, right? By the way, that's shocking, because for an older generation, Oscar De La Hoya was their Ryan Garcia. Right? If I'm Ryan, I look at Oscar, I look at some of the other promoters, Eddie Hearn, I would use my reputation, my popularity, to try to get access to those guys, to try to figure out what makes them successful promoters. Right? That's if I want to stay in the game. Right? I would also realize, too, that I'm Ryan Garcia. Right? There are a lot of ways in the economy to make money off your name. A guy named Michael Jordan, when he was riding high with the Chicago Bulls, had a restaurant in Chicago. Now, who knows whether Jordan was actually operating the restaurant? You know what happens? You're a big name and entrepreneurs show up out of the woodwork and they say, hey, you know what? We have great cooks. We know how to, throw down a great steak and potatoes cuisine. We got this lease here in this great location in this great city of Chicago. You're a star. We would love for this restaurant to be called Ryan Garcia's Restaurant. Or, you know how they do it in places like New York and LA. We would like for you to agree to dine at our restaurant at least a couple nights a week. We'll pay you for it. Don't worry about the food. You'll be having great food. We'll give you a table where everyone knows you can be seen. And of course, word would spread around town. Ryan Garcia eats at this restaurant. Right? You can trade on your name. If I'm Ryan Garcia, I think about that. Understand, he's a unique star because he has such a big social media presence. Understand, too, I know life's unfair, but each generation wants their own heroes. There's a group, and I've been online, looking at social media during Canelo fights. That Canelo-Jaime Munguia fight, I'm telling you, there were many younger people. Not one or two. I'm talking about many who were openly rooting for Jaime Munguia. Not because Canelo is a bad guy. Not because Canelo, is a role model. No, it's because Canelo's over 30. Young people want their own. Who connects with them right now? Folks, it's not the over 30 Tyson Fury, older than that Alexander Usyk. No. It's Ryan Garcia. Right? And of course, Ryan Garcia has other options. Right? People who are into cryptocurrency believe that they're going to do extremely well. Right? Michael Saylor of MicroStrategy, CEO, MIT grad, continues to buy Bitcoin. Right? There's a possibility that Ryan Garcia can invest some of his money into, let's say, Bitcoin. We'll name the bellwether of the cryptoverse. And then that takes off to such an extent that Garcia is going to have to ask himself, if making money is this easy, why would I want to risk getting hit in the head to make a few dollars? Right? So if I'm Ryan Garcia, I announce my retirement. Let me make another point here. If he has a goal to continue boxing, announcing his retirement takes the pressure off of him. Right? He can still hit gyms. He can still spar. He can say what Ray Leonard said in the 80s. Hey, I just want to stay in shape, is what Ray would say. Right? This is how I've stayed in shape most of my life. I don't have plans to come back, but I am going to stay in shape, and I like being around gyms. Suddenly, that was Ray Leonard in the ring against Marvin Hagler. Donnie Lalonde, Terrible Terry Norris, Roberto Duran, Hector Macho Camacho. Right? Understand, that's Ray after Ray had held a press conference that Hagler attended, where he said, I'm not going to fight you. That fight's never going to happen. Well, several fights happened. Understand what announcing a retirement does. It gets the press off your back. Right? Rather than, you walk outside your house to grab the paper and press people hop out the weeds and say, hey, are you coming back? Are you coming back? You announce your retirement. They're off your back. You're able to privately go to the gym, work out. You're able to pick up the phone, say to your trainer, hey, Derek, I'm coming back now. Talk to the promoter. People aren't trying to sniff you out the way they would if you don't announce your retirement and you leave it an open question that reporters want to answer. So, if I'm Ryan Garcia, I announce my retirement from the sport. Even if it's a 1-year suspension, I announce my retirement from the sport. Let's talk about a truth. Sooner or later, resentment is going to set in from boxing fans. Right? In my mind, I have no doubt that Devin Haney's alleged one loss is going to be removed from his record. You're going to have a younger group of fighters coming up, right? They're going to be doing it the hard way. They're not going to be getting millions of dollars early in their career for fighting a Gervonta Davis and then getting millions more dollars fighting a Devin Haney and then get millions of dollars from casinos, right, for betting on the fight, in which you took supplements to participate in that may have been tainted. Right? And so understand, sooner or later, pundits, let me raise my hand, pundits are going to say, hey, what exactly has this guy done to be so highly regarded? Right? Recognize that, even great fighters, Canelo, took a lot of heat in the press for the Arislandi Lara fight, for the first 2 Gennady Golovkin fights. I was here online and I said, hey, I've seen both of those fights. I have yet to see the fight that Canelo won. Right? Understand, real fighters, guys with lengthy resumes against multiple Hall of Famers, face a lot of scrutiny in the press. Right now, Ryan Garcia has gotten a pass. People thought he was going to lose, really, because he was a little bit crazy. There wasn't the idea that he was actually possibly involved with Osterin. Right? And so, if I'm Ryan Garcia, I need to realize that right now, I have a lot of goodwill. It's not going to last. People are going to start throwing stones at me. I'm sure Anthony Joshua, Olympic gold medalist, then he was unbeaten, becomes a champ. Right? He beats people like Vladimir Klitschko. He fought and beat Joe Parker. Right? Then, of course, he runs into trouble against Andy Ruiz, and I'm positive, and keep in mind, I'm naming him because he is one of the most popular boxers in the sport. He doesn't need a title to be popular. He's like Ryan Garcia. And I'm sure Anthony Joshua then started picking up the newspaper, right? Let's face it, the UK is tough on its fighters in the press. I'm sure he started picking up the newspaper, started reading things and thinking, wow, they turned on me this fast. What happened to all the goodwill that I took years to build in the amateurs and the pros? Right? I'm here fighting my big fights in the United Kingdom. And I have critics. Well, if I'm Ryan Garcia, I need to realize I'm going to get critics. There's going to be a group out there that's going to view me as a cheater. Right? How much in the public light do I want to be during that time period? Ryan, give yourself a cushion by announcing your retirement, whatever you plan to do. Right? Let me make the point, too, that explore other business opportunities. The world is a big place. There are several in the sport of boxing and outside the sport of boxing. right? You get to be a little bit older. You get to be in your 50s. You get to have gray. You look back at times in your life and you realize that there were a lot of opportunities, right? We shouldn't assume that tomorrow is going to be like today. As Bob Marley said, don't you know that when a door closes, another is open? Those are my thoughts with regard to Ryan Garcia. Tell us yours in the comment section of this YouTube video. What should Ryan Garcia do? I look forward to reading your comments. Thanks for stopping by.